Yeah. Well, good evening. It is Thursday, June the 2nd, 6 p.m., and this is the regular meeting of the Menifee Parks, Recreation and Trails Commission. Welcome. I'd like to please start the meeting with a roll call. Madam Clerk?
Absolutely. Commissioner Alti Holcomb,
Here present.
Commissioner Richard Croy,
Here.
Commissioner Vice Chair Tom Gidroyce,
Here.
Commissioner Martin Rosen.
Here.
And Commissioner Zimmerman could not be here tonight, the chair of our commission. I'd like to ask that we please join us in the flag salute, and I'd like to ask Commissioner Alti Holcomb if he'd please lead us in the salute.
If you're able, please stand up and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're up to item number 4.1, which is presentation of Adopt the Trail program concept. We have a guest, Shannon Chamberlain, here. Welcome.
Hello.
And Shannon is going to talk to us about that program and bring us up to date.
Yeah. My name is Shannon Chamberlain, and I work for the Riverside County Park and Open Space District and was hired back in the fall to specifically revamp the Adopt a Trail program. It had fallen into, well, disrepair. We had several staff members come through, and there was no continuation with the program. So in front of you, you have hard copies of the documents that we are giving out to the public beginning July 1st. This month, I'm concentrating on reconnecting with past adopters and current supporters to get their applications in and in for review before we open it up to the public. We have several youth advisory commissions that are on, and I know that was a point that Rick was interested in. The closest property that you would have here would be Lake Skinner, and we do have a lot of availability for actually anybody in the community to get involved over there. If the Salt Creek Trail comes to fruition, that will also be another spot that we would have the program. So you'll see that there's a handbook. The way that this is different from past programs is because we do have an accountability factor now. There is paperwork that needs to be submitted. There is ongoing trail visits that need to be made and ongoing communication. Whereas in the past, we would get an application and put a sign up and we wouldn't have any more contact with the adopter. We would just assume that they were doing the work that was needed. So a little bit different, a little bit more strict as far as what we require our volunteers to know. There is going to be a training which is modeled after the Pacific Crest Trail Association and their Trail Skills College that they hold every year. So it is pretty time intensive, but it's a great learning opportunity for Scouts, Girl Scouts. We have Eagle Scout projects that could be done on the trails. We have journeys for the Girl Scouts that could also be done. So it's a great program for a lot of different demographics that I think you guys serve. And so if at any time you have questions or want to get involved, my contact information is listed pretty much in all of the documents, and our website will be up and running hopefully soon. That's why I didn't have anything up for you this evening. Our marketing team is swamped with the water parks opening up this weekend. So any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Shannon.
Hi.
Haven't seen you in about a week.
I know.
I have the pleasure of serving on the county trails committee with Shannon, and there's a new energy there, which is very refreshing to see. It was a program that had kind of fallen, there was just no follow-up, and I'm very, very glad to see that. A question for you. I know that we have several county facilities around us, such as the water park, Lake Skinner, Cabian Park, which is right on our border.
Yes.
If we can encourage our youth advisory community to work with you, is this something that we can coordinate together with our youth?
Absolutely.
And to go out and,
Yeah,
put them in a
Cabian
van
Park,
and go clean up some
I've
trails?
heard you guys have done cleanups there quite a bit, and that is also something, we're looking for new properties and new ideas, so if you have a district property nearby that you think you'd be interested in adopting and
Okay.
caring for, we'd be open to suggestions.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one question. Rick, your equestrian group, weren't they going to be the point for cleaning up?
Yes.
At least what do you call it? The one near Paris and the new one in the event that I finally get that through.
Well, our riding club adopted Cabian Park when we put in the facilities there. I remember that a couple of years ago. And
I
unfortunately.
believe it was 4.5 years, but all right.
Yeah, 4.5 years, back when I had hair. And there was just never any follow-up. It was our fault too for not following up, but I had found that I made a couple calls and it was like, who are you? No, it's like nobody even wrote this stuff down. So I'm glad to see that there will be more accountability, and there's many, many trails, including Idlewild. I'd love to see our youth advisory committee go up to Idlewild and work on those trails up there.
We have a lot of trails, especially inside Idlewild Park, and
Yeah.
those are my problem children
Yeah.
because they all need an extreme amount of work to get
Yeah.
up to code, I guess, to make them safe.
Yeah.
And if I had some youth up there, that would be fantastic because a lot of the locals don't want to participate in anything that's physically
Yeah.
demanding.
Utes, we need you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. The next item today is presentations, item 4.2, and I'll hand off to Jason.
Good evening, Commissioners, members of the public. First of all, thank you for being here this evening. At the last commission meeting, we had a group of young people come up and get recognized for their accomplishments at the Pitch Hit and Run local competition, which was a competition we had here in Menifee. Those local kids ended up going on to two regional competitions, one at Chino Hills, one in the city of Riverside. We actually had 4 kids advance to the team championships, which were held this past Saturday at Angel Stadium. And I am extremely excited to announce that all 4 of those individuals from Menifee won their respective age divisions and now are eligible to go on to the All-Star Game National Championship at Petco Park during the All-Star Game weekend festivities on July, I think it's 13th. We won't find out, unfortunately, so we're all going to be kind of waiting, biting our nails to find out if they will advance. What happens is their scores are tabulated against scores from all the other team championships to find out who will actually go on to the national championship at Padres Stadium. One of the cool things is that you find out live with the rest of the nation on June 25th on the MLB Network. So there's a good chance that Menifee's name will get put on the national stage on June 25th on national TV. So extremely excited and proud of these 4 individuals that are here today. Actually, 3 out of the 4 are here today. One of them is at an all-star tournament, as luck would have it. But yeah, this is a huge accomplishment. I mean, you're talking about over 500 kids that these young people participated against to get to this level. And let me just tell you, as one of the event organizers at Angel Stadium this past weekend, none of the scores were really even close. So our Menifee kids blew everybody else out of the water. And these are kids from Chino Hills, Anaheim, Southern California, Orange County, some regions of LA County. I mean, it's just a really huge accomplishment. So we did bring them back to this evening. We have some certificates to once again recognize them. So we'll call them up, the ones that are here individually, and then ask you gentlemen to take a quick picture with them and wish them well, and hopefully they'll get picked on June 25th. So, of course, ladies first, we'll call up in the 11, 12-year-old division, Geraldine Wells. She said, sorry, I came from practice. That kind of works out perfectly, actually. Next up in the 7, 8-year-old division, Lucas Tello. Good job, Lucas. And then last but not least, in the 9, 10-year-old age group, Jackson Baker. One more quick note. One of the other event organizers from Major League Baseball came from Ohio, specifically commented on our Menifee kids about their positive attitudes. We saw a lot of, hey, high five for kids who were having a little bit of trouble. These guys were blowing them all out of the water, and instead of trying to laugh or anything like that, they were getting them high fives saying good job. So all the parents were there too, so I think Menifee had the loudest cheering section. Myself and one of our coordinators was there as well, so just a really good showing for Menifee and putting us on the map. So once again, congratulations to these guys, and we'll look forward to hearing from them on June 25th.
Our next agenda item is 5.1, approval of the meeting minutes from our May 5th, 2016 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at those?
Yes, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Agenda approval or modifications, item 6. Anyone?
Is the agenda as it should be?
We have item 8.5 has been added to it. Actually revised. I've got a change here that was handed to me.
Okay, so
Yes.
there is a modification.
CIP.
It's just the backup for that item.
Okay. In that case, we're good to go. And we'll move on to item number 7, public comment.
None.
Thank you. And we'll then go to discussion items, and we'll start with 8.1, minor change number 2016-103, Underwood TR 29835, application review.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Oh.
We do have someone from the,
Oh, I apologize.
I wanted to speak to it. Is it number 7 when I'm not on the agenda?
Which item
Sorry?
are you looking to speak to?
Well, it's not on here at all.
It's a
it's
non-agenda.
public comment.
Non-agenda
It's a
item?
public-
And it
You're
goes
certainly
back to
still
7.
welcome to talk to us.
Why don't you go ahead and step up to the microphone?
All right, come on
and
up. And if you would, just tell us your name and if you want to, or your address.
Karen Hansen, 28474 Boardwalk Court, Menifee. I'm in the Heritage Lake area, up Newport.
Okay, thank you.
And I went to a bird festival about a month ago and up in Humboldt County, and they were doing all sorts of stuff for conservation, bird-related stuff. And I came back to Menifee, and we just didn't have anything going on like that. So I called the Parks Department, and they said, yeah, we have 30 parks, and none of them are related to nature. They're, you know, football fields, baseball fields, jungle gyms, whatever. And he said, if that's a good idea, why don't you come and talk to the Parks Department? I have a degree in biological science. I know other people who have degrees and expertise. So I wanted to suggest that you take some land and convert it to a nature preserve where you don't use pesticides and stuff. And you actually plant it with lots of bird-friendly or nature-friendly trees and whatever. I have a whole list of people who are interested in teaching at one of these places, from a guy who teaches about rocks and another guy who teaches photography and an ornithologist. I know all about bird seeds and bird feeders, believe it or not. So I wanted to suggest that you save something because everything is getting developed. Now, I have a new home. I love it. I have nothing wrong with development, but I would like to see something preserved that people can go to and study nature and have workshops and things like that. And that's my proposal.
Well, thank you. One of the things we discussed in a kind of a visioning meeting that we've had prior to this commission really getting underway was a wish list of things we would like to do, and having some kind of a nature center was on there. Although in our Parks Master Plan it didn't get brought up, it is still something that we've been holding the idea of. And if you could leave your name and number with us, we might
Yeah,
get back
I'd
in
like to
touch on
leave
another
this
day.
because this gives a list of people who are professionals and would love to come in and talk to
And give a
people about-
contribution, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Rosen?
Just a question. Have you been down to Cabian Park?
No, where is
It's
that?
on our northwest border with Paris. Technically, it belongs to Paris, but we're the ones who put in a staging area there. But it's enormous, and there are areas in the back where nature abounds. I agree with you, we should have another one, but obviously that's always difficult, the land. so very valuable. But try to take a look at that.
Okay, but
KB.
you know, I'd like to see something in Menifee that's close by to the schools and the houses and stuff that people can go to and really,
It's not that far, really, and when I say it borders, I mean literally. It literally borders Menifee.
It's right off of Getz Road.
Yeah, right off Getz.
Commissioner Croy.
Yeah, there's some set-aside riparian areas there, and they're pretty easy to get to. Unfortunately, they're riparian areas, so that means there are no touch zones, which means it's there, but you can certainly observe them. Have you been to the San Jacinto Wildlife Area up behind Lake Paris?
no, I've heard about it.
We call it the pond. It's a beautiful
Lake-
area.
Lake Paris?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You go up Menifee Road. It's actually off of Ramona Expressway, and you make a left on Davis, and you dead end into it. And it's hundreds, I was going to say thousands of acres of set-aside wildlife. And you have Sierra Club, and there's actually many bird watching clubs that are there. You really should check that out. We ride our horses there, and it's,
Does it have a nature center?
yes, they do. And it's a beautiful area. Unfortunately, it's not in Menifee, but it's 25 minutes up the road.
Yeah, I'd like to see something in Menifee.
Well, circling back to what you said, we realize that we need to have more than just sports facilities within the confines of this city's limits. And therefore, we have this on the kind of back burner that we need to do that as well. But as we're going forward right now with new developers, there's still what's the word I want to use? We're short supplied on land for just maintaining a level in proportion to the number of people coming to town. But it's definitely on our what would you call it, our radar.
Okay, and so I'd like to leave this with you later on, just so you take a look at it.
Thank you very much.
She can leave that.
I'd like to add to that. My name is Henry Kantrowitz. I'm a interpretive naturalist, and I've worked a lot in ecology. I was a planscaper for years, a professional planscaper before that. And what I was kind of wanting to focus on also, besides, it would be really nice to have a couple more areas of open lands or something, but even where we're developing these areas that we are with all of these parks, because we do have just a ton of parks here, we could actually encompass and include native or drought-friendly plants for birds, butterflies. Instead of a lot of the plants that they're planting don't do anything. Some are drought tolerant, but they don't supply any kind of habitat for any of the birds or butterflies. And is just as cost effective. And most of these plants actually require less water than anything I see basically being planted. So if we could kind of look at it that we could do this in all the parks we already have, or when we're doing new construction in areas and there's public land where we're planting, we should gear it more towards what might be attractive for birds and butterflies, and yet be extremely drought tolerant. I mean, some of these plants, after they've set for 2 years, they need to be watered like once every 2 months, which would just be a big help as far as water conservation goes. And I've done that around my property, and I have a canyon across the street from me, and it's all gravel on top, and I've planted it now with a bunch of native and drought-tolerant plants, and the amount of birds coming and butterflies, and the whole neighborhood is so thankful. They've done a bulletin on it, a newsletter, and people are now starting to plant it at their house. So maybe we could also think outside of just having separate areas, that we could start encompassing it and including it in what we're doing now as far as development goes.
Very interesting ideas. Make a model of it for other people.
Right, and there's, for instance, on Ortega Highway by Casper's Park, there's a 40-acre nursery that is just native plants, and they wholesale them out, and it would be a really good possible contact because they have so much that they can have to offer as far as species of plants that could be used here. And it would serve two purposes. It would be very nice, and they're all very beautiful anyway. They produce a lot of flowers. They would attract wildlife, and we'd save on water too. So it's just a thought of something else to add to this whole idea.
Well, thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I do know Mr. Commissioner Rosen's wife is a little bit of a bird fan,
Just a little.
just a little. Magnolia Bird Farm every 2 weeks.
I used to go to that 30 years ago, the one that was in Anaheim on Magnolia.
That's certainly something we can look into, and appreciate you
Yeah,
bringing it up.
Thank you.
And your suggestion that we have something in the way of a nature center. We do have that as one of the items we'd like to pursue. But just to, we really are off our agenda, but just so you know, we are considering that, but we haven't figured out how to get that to happen. Right now, we're just trying to keep up with enough park space for the population growth.
Right.
And we don't want to see it
That's where I'm trying
sidelined,
to
but
come
that
from.
is an issue.
That's where I'm trying to come from, is where we could actually, include, because kids aren't there all the time. So we'd provide habitat for these birds and stuff, and even for them to see and stuff. So it would be included in the sports parks, or, along roads and stuff where they're planting, landscaping
Sure.
everything. And it could also save the city money.
Commissioner Rosen.
Well, I would like to add that to a future agenda. Let's add it to a future, make it a future agenda item to look into the possibility of taking some park area that we have and putting in plant life that would specifically bring in birds and butterflies.
As
and
an
other,
enhancement.
You know,
Well, when we get to item 11, we
There you
have
go.
Commissioner future agenda requests, so we'll put it in
Yeah.
there. Definitely. Sure.
Okay.
We're informal here.
I live in Heritage Lake, and they have a big lake there. And I'm familiar with the birds that come in, but this is a private affair, and they don't want the blackbirds there. So when the tricolor blackbirds come in and try and nest in the cattails, they chop all the cattails down. They just don't want them there.
Mhm.
And those are becoming an endangered species. And so when you get these parks with the lakes that you have up and going up Newport, they kind of declare war on these birds. They don't want to be bothered with them. And I kind of would like to see if you have developers come in and they clear the land and put in all the streets and stuff. I'd like for them to have about 25%.
You know what? I don't mean to cut you off. We do have other items, but I'd suggest what you're talking about might be something to address to the Planning Commission, because you're talking about things developers can and cannot do. I have to keep moving the meeting along, but thank you. Our next item is 8.1, minor change to 2016-103 Underwood TR 29835 application review. And I'll hand that to Robert to detail it out for us.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. As you mentioned, this item is for consideration of a minor change 2016-103 Underwood, which is track 29835. Excuse me. The track was approved by the County Riverside Board of Supervisors back in August 29, 2006. It was originally approved for Schedule A subdivision of 235.06 acres into 543 single-family residential lots, 5,000 square foot lots, and included a 9.4 acre park. And in addition to that, the minor change makes some, again, changes, reducing the number of homes down to 515 single-family residential lots, same lot size, and reduces the park acreage down to 9.17 acres. And that park lot is on lot 521, and on your screen is a map. I know it can be a little hard to read, but that's why I provided you a hard copy. Additional changes include updating plans in order to conform to the latest engineering and water quality standards, which is pretty typical for a lot of the map submittals these days that had previously been approved. Let's see, it also included creating 5 districts that are categorized specifically by lot width and size, reduce the grading, reduce offsite dirt import, and a number of other items that I won't necessarily expound upon. That said, the typical Quimby requirement based off the number of dwelling units would be 8.15 acres, and as you can tell, they are proposing an over dedication in the amount of 1.02 acres for excess. And as you recall, in prior meeting of the commission, there was a recommendation for city council to adopt a resolution, or not resolution, an ordinance to provide for that excess dedication to be banked by the developer if they so choose, and applied within a 2-mile radius of the project site. Additionally, though, the review of this map against the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Recreation Master Plan identifies that a community trail is intended to be along Antelope and Rouse Roads from Chambers Avenue to Palomar Road. It also includes a bike lane, Class 2 on Antelope Road north of Rouse Road, and community bike lane, Class 3 on Palomar Road along the eastern border of the project. That would include staff's comments back to the applicant, as well as updating the typical road cross sections to reflect the improvements that I just mentioned. If you are trying to orient yourself to where this track lies, if you are on the east side of the I-215 on Antelope and you continue north, as it veers away from the freeway after crossing McCall, you will run into this project site, and Antelope would eventually then cross Palomar. And the area in red obviously outlined is the park site, and the trails would run along Antelope and Rouse and Palomar, as I mentioned. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. That concludes this report.
Commissioner Rosen.
This 9.17 acres that they're proposing, is it usable? Because according to this maps, a lot of this open space area looks like a mountain.
A portion of it has slope, as well as a couple of, I'll call them cones, hill cones in the middle. But again, we don't actually assess the Quimby amount until final map, and then collection occurs at occupancy. So the actual usable dedication can occur toward the end. This is just a preliminary, so you understand whether they meet or don't meet the current Quimby requirement.
Well, so we don't know whether they are going to actually be giving us 9.17 acres of park.
We won't know that.
Usable park.
We won't know that until the conceptual is submitted, and that happens a little later in the entitlement process.
In that case, I withdraw.
So we still have control over the situation.
Yeah, we can't do
They
anything.
give us something that isn't suitable.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to ask a question. I see that there's some smaller lots that are kind of detailed out as arrows coming off of this red circled area. And these look like slivers of land that they're leaving open. Would those be under the city's jurisdiction, and we'd have to maintain it?
It's uncertain because at this stage, they don't provide a maintenance exhibit. They could be HOA. They could be part of the CFD maintained by the city. That's what we would require on the next submittal.
Okay, if it is city, we have a CFD that would take control.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My question is, with the measurements here and the topography, is a soccer field possible there?
Yes, there's nearly enough room for 2 soccer fields in that location. It would be very cramped. You could do one full size and one modified, or you can do one full size and probably a full size baseball field.
And still have room for parking cars?
You could, yes. You'd have to be creative, but it is possible.
Any further discussion? Questions? Commissioner Holcomb.
Yes, Robert, do we know the approximate completion of this track?
Well, it's as a tentative map, and this is a minor change. We do not know. It's typically at this stage, it's at least a couple years out. Best case, if the developer was really interested, they would get the map fully entitled, and depending on if they are a merchant builder or not. CV Communities typically is not. They'll entitle and then they'll turn around and sell it to a merchant builder. That all adds time. And so if it's anything like Menifee Heights, which is the other CV Communities project in town, then it's probably about a 3-year turnaround.
Robert, could you explain merchant builder for the benefit of the folks here in the
Absolutely.
audience?
So a merchant builder would be someone like KB Homes or Lennar, those that you typically see advertised out in the community, Brookfield. They are responsible typically for buying up phases or tracts from entitlement firms and then actually doing the building and selling those homes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we are not in a situation where we need to vote on this, just to accept and move along. Is that right?
Yeah, and only if you needed to add any comments.
Anybody need to put any comments in there at this stage? Seeing none, we'll move to item 8.2, conditional use permit 2016-110 application review.
Thank you. This project is for CUP related to the entitlement and construction of a fast food, I'll call it a fast food restaurant, at the corner of McCall and Bradley Road, up in near the Sun City area. You probably are familiar with it as the vacated gas station. It's been that way for a long time. The applicant has some requirements after comparing this to the Park Recreation Trails Master Plan, which included a community trail along McCall Boulevard and Bradley Road. Staff, though, after looking at this, has determined that given the limitations imposed by the space, the amount of width on the shoulder, and the impending expansion of the overpass on McCall, it doesn't make a lot of sense to incorporate a trail at that location. It does also, the master plan also does call for a class 2 bike lane along McCall in order to, in addition to landscaping and sidewalk. I did provide to you a letter that was submitted yesterday by the applicant to voice some concerns about the requirements for a bike lane. I'm not sure if the applicant is here. He is here. And so it's up to the commission whether you'd want to entertain a discussion with the applicant so they can further explain the constrictions of space.
I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, so would I.
Hi, my name is Greg Fick with Tate & Associates, and I'm running the entitlements for this proposed project. We don't have, the space is limited. After dedications to the site, we're required to have a 17-foot dedication along Bradley Road, and along McCall Road, we're restricted to existing dedications. So really, it's an 18,000 square foot site, which pencils out to the max buildable area as 2,400 square feet. For a restaurant, we don't have a tenant at this space. It's really hard to find a tenant until we can get this project entitled that would allow for the proposed use. And what we have gone through with city planning and public works is that we've run numbers, and adding a bicycle lane along McCall and Bradley at this time would add a significant cost to this project because there's a traffic signal located at the northeast corner or at the intersection. We would be required to relocate that traffic signal as well as storm drain facilities and widening the road would virtually make this project infeasible. The owner is willing to pay some fair share cost toward future improvements, and we've developed this site to accommodate future improvements, and certainly there's room for adding trails. I mean, from the roadway, there's 24 feet on McCall to the property line, as well as 14 feet from Bradley. So we're open to suggestions to beautify the frontage of the property. It's just that widening the project for future bike lanes at this time really does make this project infeasible. And we know that it's been vacant for quite some time. The environmental cleanup has been completed at this time, so we're excited to develop the site, but those are kind of the reasons, so willing to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Croy.
Thank you, sir. We've been waiting a long time for something to happen up here. Uh, I tend to agree with you. I mean, this is right off the freeway. Bradley is, you've got kind of a blind curve there. I'm not sure that a bike lane is even the responsible thing to do. I hate to give up any trails, as I've said, or bike lanes, but you have to put them where they belong, and it seems to me that it would be almost dangerous to do that at this location. However, there's been a lot of talk about creating connectivity, especially for the seniors, to get down to Countryside Marketplace, coming down Bradley, and future improvements, and golf cart lanes, if you will. Is any of that possible on the west side of Bradley? Do we know?
Well, I think no, on the west side, it's fairly built out. You'll note as you travel along there, there's less than 15 feet shoulder width, which is pretty much already landscaped in one form or another, and it's at a slope. And where it's less than that, the property line is nearly at the curb.
Right.
I think more importantly, to your point of creating connections in the network, at the recommendation of the master plan consultant, there were a few areas that really stood out in terms of trail connection east to west side. Eliminating a bike lane and eliminating trail access across this overpass means that pedestrian access, recreational pedestrian access, would have to either be down at Newport or up at McCall, or up at Ethonac. And so that's the only challenge. There is still an option, though, on the south side of McCall to incorporate a bike lane there. And that's something we'd have to vet a little further with our Public Works and Engineering Department.
Now, McCall, eventually, that overpass is going to be widened, correct?
Within the limitations of space, yes.
My grandkids may see it.
Yeah, it certainly is a cost, and the city is working toward that. But on the north side, because of the alignment, as the applicant was mentioning, there's still a challenge. On the south side, more flexibility certainly exists.
Is the current bad sidewalk situation going to be taken out and replaced?
Yeah, I mean, as part of the proposed project, we would certainly, make the sidewalk ADA,
Right.
compliant.
Okay.
It's just a matter of what really hurts the site is widening the sidewalk and relocating all the utilities that are there. That's what really becomes a financial,
Yeah.
economic problem for the site.
It is kind of an odd-shaped parcel.
It really is, and with the updated general plan and the proposed widening of Bradley and McCall, make it even more challenging.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rosen.
Well, I do agree with you, but I would love to see something else before we just close it all up. How difficult would it be to get some engineering report on the south side?
Not too difficult. We can get I'll call it a ruling or a finding from our engineering team about Southside McCall, but that would be independent of this application.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I'm not arguing that point at all. I just don't want to see all trails and all lanes stop. That's what I don't. So, yes, I understand the problem here, so let's try to find a different place to put it.
There's a fair amount of pedestrian traffic on the south side these days.
Yeah.
That's where it all is right now, yes.
It seems to be the place to do it.
And to add to that, you'll recall that the closest park is on the south side of McCall,
That's
Rancho
true.
Ramona, just a block off of McCall.
Good point. Okay, any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, we will move on to item 8.
Are we supposed to do something?
On this,
Again, it was just provide
Comment.
additional comment, so I will note the omission of both bike lane and trail on the north side of McCall, as well as Bradley.
very good. We'll move on to thank you. Item 8.3, tract number 36788, trail plan review.
Thank you. This application is for tract 36788 and proposes Schedule A subdivision of 9.2 gross acres into 30 single-family residential lots, a little larger than last time, 7,200 square feet. and in one open space lot for water quality detention basin. You'll see in your staff report three main conditions set upon this project for trail dedication and submittal plans. Those are fairly routine, and staff's not recommending any modification to those. They're there just for your reference. But more importantly, the master plan does not currently require a trail along the north side of Garbani, as the application has shown. And however, in looking at the larger picture of adjacent parcels, there is an existing trail on that north side of Garbani, just to the east of the project site. Additionally, the master plan does call for a bike lane class 2 along Garbani, and so staff is recommending that the community trail on the north side of Garbani continue to be consistent and contiguous with the existing. And in fact, that trail continues for a few blocks even further east. And as a result, recommendation is to add this as a trail to the trail map. As it wasn't reflected before, this is, as we knew, we would run into situations where we found trail segments that no one knew about. They existed probably prior to, well before city incorporation. And this would be one of them. So staff's recommending to include it, however, reducing the trail width to 8 feet, which is consistent with the community trail width. And then also, of course, including the bike lane class 2 on Garbani Road. On your staff report and also on the screen, you see the aerial shot just for comparison to show there is some odd alignment issues that will have to be worked through, but I don't foresee that being an issue.
Thank you. Commissioner Croy.
A couple of questions. Garbani is a county regional trail. So will this be part of the county responsibility, or will it have to be HOA maintained?
And this would be CFD maintained.
Okay. As you move further west, when we were looking at trails, it gets real interesting over there. The ultimate alignment of Garbani Road runs into somebody's garage right now. And I'm not kidding. It runs into somebody's garage. And as you go, actually the parcel directly west of the aerial here gets real dicey. It's got a real strange turn on it, as you can see it starting right there at the left-hand side. I'm all for this. As long as we're continuing that trail, that's good news. The person that's going to come along and develop that west side of this project is going to have some real engineering challenges. You can see there's a big drainage component going into there. It goes down into a low spot. But as long as we're inching along, I'm good with it. But when it gets to that guy's garage, we're going to have some issues.
Well, no, I have a question. So you would rather we go through the kitchen instead of the garage?
Maybe we can work out the front lawn.
Yeah.
And I agree with the assessment of the staff as well.
Any further comment or discussion? Seeing none, we will accept and consider that having been reviewed. And the staff recommendation, I would go along with that. I think that's very sensible.
Yeah.
Oh, does the CFD also cover the other trails it'll be linking to?
Any new development would be part of CFD. Existing, if it's in city right away, it's either on easement to the homeowners or homeowner association or the homeowners to maintain, or they can be annexed in at a later date.
Okay, great.
So, and to further my question, because I'm a little not clear on it, when the county, because the county does have this on their trails map also, do they have any responsibility to maintain only if it's in county property?
No, anything that's in city right away would be city responsibility.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. In that case, we'll move on to item 8.4, Phase 1 Camera Wireless Backhaul Contract Award.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This project is one that's been long in the making. I don't have any pretty pictures for you, so I'm going to describe this in what I believe is layman's terms, because that's how I best understand it. You will recall from our 15-16 CIP, there's been an effort to outfit many of our facilities with surveillance and video camera oversight, and in order to accomplish that and ensure we have connectivity on an open loop, not a closed loop, meaning we'd be able to view live stream of any camera in any park that is installed from a web-based portal. So personal computing device, computer, anything that's connected to the internet, we should be able to view those images. And so in order to achieve that, there was a couple of routes that staff could take for connectivity. The first and most common one is similar to what you have in your home. You have an internet service provider that may provide either fiber optic connection via cable modem or just regular copper cable connection through your cable company. And so that would be your point of connection coming into your home through your cable line. That's very typical in what we currently have over at Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park and working toward that at Spirit Park. The only challenge, the only downside of that is you do have a monthly subscription cost. Right now that runs at about $300 per connection. That's fairly high. And so if you consider all the parks that are in the city, and all the ones that we would outfit with cameras, it'd be $300 a pop. So alternatively, there is an opportunity to create a city-hosted, owned, and run Wi-Fi network. And what that essentially entails is installing hardware at any of the locations that we'd want to transmit or receive a Wi-Fi signal at. And the signal itself is, I've been told, it's a gigabit signal, meaning it is big, it is wide, it is large enough bandwidth to accommodate a whole lot of data at one time, which is very ideal for camera feed. In addition to cameras, though, we can also transmit through that same Wi-Fi network things such as irrigation connection, so we wouldn't have to subscribe to a CalSense radio hub anymore. We'd still have a CalSense, but we would be communicating via the internet versus a radio hub. We'd also be able to control all of our lighting on site without having to subscribe to a cellular signal. Just the applications are endless. Beyond parks and recreation, there is also the opportunity to connect to and control synchronizing of intersection signals. So this is typical in other developed cities where every intersection that has a signal is all part of a larger network that is choreographed. And that means during busy times, a traffic engineer can sit in their office and make a few clicks to adjust based off the number of people on the roads at any given time without having to rely upon the schedules that are out there at the signal boxes. Same concept for us when it comes to cameras, when it comes to irrigation, and everything else that's automated in the park. We'd be able to control those real time from our homes if it's after hours. So this project, this contract that you are reviewing this evening is for a company called Leverage to provide what's known as the backhaul. And I'll call it backhaul, it's a short for backbone. It places transmitters and receivers along Newport, starting at the Community Services Office and continuing down to the furthest, I guess you could consider that west end of the city on Getz, to the Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park. As a result, we will be able to have connection for cameras and everything else at the Sports Park, Spirit Park, and coming online in this next year, Cottonwood Park, also known as PA 6C, which is part of the Pacific Communities Development. Additional parks can come online and connect as the network expands, but this is the starting point. And so the contract is for $56,976.22, plus contingency should there be any unknowns. And the request from staff is to recommend City Council approve the contract and authorize the city manager to execute it. I did forget to mention this network also will provide a connection for Lazy Creek Park and Community Center to be on the city network. Right now, I believe our staff out there are having to use a little hockey puck Wi-Fi device that's provided by our IT department, not very reliable. So this would fix that.
A couple of questions, if I may. I see in here mention of the city of Ukaipa that we're piggybacking onto their buying power. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure. Per the city purchasing ordinance, we are able to piggyback off of other agencies who have done a competitive bid process for services and goods. And it's exactly what we've done here. So Ukaipa had done a competitive process themselves, selected a very identical product, and we want to utilize that same process for us here.
So in a manner of speaking, we don't have to go through reinventing the wheel.
That's correct.
Got it. Also, since we are in the process of looking at Valley-wide as an expansion of our own park system, do they have camera systems that would be compatible? Do they have any at all? Do we know?
There are only, I think, a couple of parks they have, which with camera surveillance systems, they're all closed loop. So they don't connect to anything. You have to be on site to pull video from a DVR if you ever needed it. And so that's another benefit of this. If something happens on site, someone breaks into the restroom storage, sees the DVR and wants to steal it so that nobody can see what they did, it's gone forever. With this setup, all the live stream comes back to a central point. In this case, it would be the community services headquarters, safe and sound. So if anything happens on site, we'd still capture what's going on.
Sounds good. Thank you. Commissioner Holcomb.
Yes, Robert, would both Leverage and the city co-own the footage, or will it be exclusively owned by Leverage?
No, the footage would be exclusively owned by the city. So they just provide the software and the hardware, and it's ours forever.
Okay, and second question is, do we know in what instances would the footage be used?
Typically, it's only by law enforcement to ensure they can catch folks doing things they shouldn't. But then we also can use it to monitor our ball fields. As Supervisor Hendricks would probably attest to, we get a lot of, we'll call them gypsy groups that come out for organized play without a permit. And a lot of times, too, when there's conflicts in the park about who used what and when, with lights that are being paid for, we'll be able to verify those at any time.
Okay, yeah, I was just asking because I know there are some folks who are concerned about privacy, so.
Yep.
Interesting point. And how long would that footage be archived for?
So our standard was to retain for at least 2 weeks. It could be longer. The throttling of it does change the resolution, so you could store up to 6 months if you wanted, but typically it means your number of frames per second and your resolution would go down as a result.
Okay. And does the contract also include upgrades to the system? Because obviously, once you plug it in, it's like anything, all of a sudden there's an improvement out there.
No, it does not. However, this product has been in place in cities like Corona for more than 15 years, and they've had no need. Again, this is a backbone only. What you typically upgrade would be the cameras themselves. That's where the critical hardware replacement cost comes in, because they become more efficient in compressing video stream for lower storage footprint. That happens at the camera level, not at the backbone level.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, just, I think this is very forward-thinking, and I fully support it. It's anywhere where you can gain efficiencies and get this stuff done. This will last years instead of 5 years, and you've got to go replace a bunch of cable.
Yeah, but you'll also be able to upgrade it whenever you feel like it, just by changing the camera out.
It makes a lot of sense. It sounds good. And the 10% contingency allocation, that would be if something cost overruns? Is that what we're thinking?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
Typical of them to do.
Since this is recommended that City Council approve and authorize, it sounds like we need to make a motion here.
Yes.
So do I have a motion from anyone?
I'll move that we accept the contract as is with the 10% contingency allocation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a second motion and a second. Any other comment, discussion?
And you need to call them for the-
Okay. Call for a vote, please. Pardon me, for a call for the head count.
Here.
Commissioner Richard Croy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Commissioner Tom Gidroyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Marty Rosen.
Okay, so it's unanimous. Item number 8.5, fiscal year 2016-17 Parks Capital Improvement Program.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'll apologize ahead of time for this item. I know you didn't have the background on, the backup on this until this afternoon. That's mostly due to the volume of information that it takes to compile. The comfort in this is that many of the projects you see on here, you've seen before. And we're continuing the same work and oftentimes expanding on that work. This evening, I'd like to just review briefly what the Capital Improvement Program is and highlight some of the things that we're targeting in the next fiscal year. The background of the backup documentation that was provided to you only has one minor correction within the column under total 5-year estimate. Some of the summaries, the sums for all 5 years are not reflecting the full 5 years. So ideally for this evening, I would like you to focus your attention on fiscal year 16-17 column for each of the projects on the list. And we'll walk through this, and I'd be happy to answer questions as we go along. So please don't hesitate to interrupt me during that. The Capital Improvement Program is similar to what you've seen for the city in general, especially for Public Works Department. Typically, the CIP for Public Works includes street improvements, road widening, overcross projects, things like that. Parks is the same thing except for parks and trails. Sometimes we may include components for right-of-way landscaping as we see fit, median work as you have been seeing in the Sun City area, and so on. And so I want to sort of walk through some of the highlights this year for next year, starting with the CS004 street median project. Staff's currently wrapping up that project, and I know Mark's going to provide a brief update on that a little later. The ideal continuation of this project would include improving the medians on Cherry Hills in front of the Sun City Civic Association, as well as improving medians on McCall from the intersection of Bradley and McCall headed westward. The only concern we run into right at this moment is that there is currently no funding to continue that. We expended everything within that particular median fund in the fiscal year 15-16 as we wrap up this project, and we'll have to wait and see if we get additional diff funds in the median project fund to do more. So $250,000 is set as a beyond for future improvement once those dollars come through, or if grant dollars can be secured in the meantime. I'm just going to continue down the list. I won't necessarily stop on each one. I'm going to just talk about the ones that are most significant. Number CS006 for picnic shelter improvements, we are recommending a set aside of $25,000 to do additional shelters at a couple of parks that don't have any. For example, Nova Park doesn't currently have any shelter cover anywhere, and the mature trees on site are not necessarily big enough to provide shade. Additionally, there are a couple other shelter opportunities through the city, but that would be the most high priority one for the next year.
That's the most undeveloped park we have.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. It is out there by itself, and this gives us an opportunity to provide a little bit of improvement. The last type of work we did out there was placing park monument sign in 14-15.
So would most of the 25,000 go to that one park?
Yes, because of the footings and pad, it usually costs that much to get the work done.
Okay.
The park furnishings on project CS007 is to continue the work we've been doing to upgrade a lot of outdated stuff from the county days to our city standard, which is rolled steel. What was there in the past is a mix and match of concrete cast items that have fallen apart over time, and some metal ones that are just completely bent out of shape. So this will allow us to keep doing those improvements. CS008 park restroom furnishings, those would continue so we can replace sometimes in some places porcelain fixtures with stainless steel, or provide new products that are hardened for security believe me, it sounds silly, but some things like toilet paper rolls don't have the proper securing box on them. Penal grade is what typically is used, and that is the standard of the city now. So we're just going to continue to upgrade those facilities as we get to them. Irrigation control system on CS009. As we continue to transition all of our sites over CalSense Central Control, we come across some of our controllers that, even though they may be CalSense, they do not have the connectivity hardware in them to be able to communicate with our central system. CalSense has been around a long time, and some of their old controllers were really just made to be modified on site. So these upgrades will allow us to have them connect to the radio hub, and in the future, obviously, to the internet, so that we can make those control modifications from our main office instead of being on site. It also allows us to monitor any issues that occur in the field when we're not here. It can send us warnings. It can let us know there's a main line break. It senses pressure. All of those things are very critical and save a lot of time and money when things go bad. Evans Park design. Staff's recommending a set aside of $50,000 this year so that we can start getting some engineering and conceptual work done for the Evans Park site. I'm going to jump around a little bit here onto CS011, where I've identified $11 million in future or beyond expenditures to build that facility. And then I'll jump ahead one more on park acquisition, which is actually later down on CS031. What we've recommended is to set aside $500,000 from our Quimby Fund for parkland acquisition in fiscal year 16-17. And the reasoning behind this is, you'll recall that the Evans Park site sits currently at the intersection of Craig and Evans. And it is really east of Evans. The parcels that the city own are split. They're bisected by Craig. So you have approximately 10 acres south of Craig and 10 acres north of Craig. And if you'll remember, and in your packet, there's a detailed page in there for this project. There were two design concepts for that. One was with the split, and one was a contiguous piece of 20 acres north side of Craig. The acquisition money set aside will assist us in trying to acquire that additional 10 acres to the north of the parcels that we already own. All of it would be adjacent to the Paloma Valley High School, and as we get closer to design and construction, we'll have an opportunity to sit down with the school district and find out what joint use and development agreements they would feel comfortable with.
Question for you, so that would be a 30-acre park then?
No, it would be 20.
We'd sell the other 10?
We have an option to either sell it, do a land swap, or keep it for the city to have a co-op yard.
There was discussion, if I recall, about having some kind of aquatic facility there then. So if we held on to the extra 10, we might have enough land for that.
Yes, the recommendation would be to put all of those recreation amenities in the contiguous parcels, not separated.
Okay.
And the benefit is, too, the school doesn't currently have an aquatic facility. They would want easy access adjacent to the high school.
We could work something out.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm with Rick on this. I think it would be great to have 30 acres. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
Well, the more acres we have, the better, but we have to talk long and hard about aquatic facilities.
They are a cost.
They are notorious for losing money, big money.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you case in point. So,
Yes, we're very aware of the cost of running those. Every agency that I've worked at supports a significant subsidy to its aquatic facilities for the benefit of its residents. It becomes a policy decision about what level of subsidy the city wants to provide for it.
Good point.
I would say that maybe some patience is due here, because we might be able to pick one up for $1 or $2.
Okay, well, moving along, thank you.
Sure. Let's go on to CS012, Rancho Ramona Park restroom. This is simply going to be a carryover from a project we had in the current fiscal year. It's funded by CDBG. We just simply could not get to it this year. It was too much going on. These monies have been carried over by the MCAC and approved by City Council for carryover in the next year already. This would place a permanent restroom at Rancho Ramona Park. Currently, there is a portable restroom there. The Rancho Ramona Park playground resurfacing, the next one, $40,000, again, CDBG funded and a carryover as well. That rubberized surface is failing and needs to be replaced. That's one we would be able to tackle the next fiscal year. Park lighting and ADA upgrades are just to set aside as we come across them. In the current fiscal year, we were able to upgrade all park walkway lights at Lazy Creek to LED efficient lights, and as a result, significantly reducing our energy consumption and bills. So we want to continue that in some of the other parks as well. Sports field lighting, set aside a $40,000 for a beyond date to provide some athletic lights at Lalladera Park. Originally, we thought about putting it in the next fiscal year. However, we've moved that because adjacent to Lalladera Park is a planned school as part of the one of the Brookfield tracks. And as we understand, the school district is in the process of selling bonds so they can develop that site. Instead of them using the entire site for classrooms and for their athletic facilities, they may want to maximize their classroom space and then utilize the park for the athletic facilities, in which case we could enter into another joint use and development agreement with them and piggyback the lighting cost with that improvement. So I will be sure to bring that back to the commission as it develops, but that's one reason why I want to put that on beyond. There may be an opportunity to save some money. Turf conversion design and construction are ones that we are holding off on until we get some firm understanding of what the State Water Board wants to do. Are we in a drought or are we not in a drought? And so we've done all the legwork. We know that the improvement cost will be about $1.7 million, of which we don't currently have. And really to move that project forward further, we would need to see some sort of grant or incentive program reintroduced like it was when the first drought alarm was sounded. Those funds dried up, as you recall, within 2 weeks of their announcement. Lalladera Park playground resurfacing. This is the one park that we did not do in the 14-15 year for resurfacing, simply due to size. And so next fiscal year, we'd like to address it. It currently is a mix match of sand and really, really old rubberized play surface. And so I think we're suggesting we do a combination of DG, hardscape, and rubberized surface to reduce the footprint. Let's see, the playground equipment upgrades. If you visited our play areas, with the exception of the two new parks, the older existing parks play equipment is fairly old and needs a lot of pieces replaced, and obviously inspection done by a certified play inspector, which we're working toward having on staff. The Lazy Creek Rec Center improvements, quite a lot of improvements have been done this year. Mark will be highlighting some of those things tonight because we've been able to complete many of them, but there is still a lot of work to do. As you know, that facility was formerly an HOA recreation center and built to HOA specs, not to public use specs. So staff has been having to replace fascia, tenting for termites, you name it, we've probably done it. And so we still have more to go, though. And so this will allow us to continue down that road. Let's see, parking lot and trash enclosures at Lazy Creek in particular. We are identifying $150,000 this year. I'll remind you that we did receive a claim at the end of fiscal year 14-15 from a person who was concerned about ADA access, which is why it originally showed up on our plan. And really, if you park at that parking lot, there is no legal path of travel into the facility or into the park. This $150,000 gets the ball rolling in trying to resurface, put in curbs, a proper trash enclosure, and all the approaches and path travels that are necessary to be compliant. Right now, it is not compliant. And so this would be our effort to do that. IT network upgrades, we are proposing $30,000 to do additional network equipment, bridging to complement the backhaul that was approved earlier tonight. This will assist also in case we have any on-site needs at other parks to connect camera equipment to that same wireless network. CS 023, Trails Connectivity. This is like last year, a placeholder for us to identify segments of trails that we have to address more immediately. I'll use the example of the segment next to the ARCO off of Newport and Menifee Road. There was recently installed that ARCO with a trail in front of it because the master plan and the general plan called for a trail there. Just north of it is the fire station property, soon to be, we hope, city property. However, even within the right-of-way, which is city property anyways, that trail abruptly stops. And so these funds would be used to make those short connections, which is essentially one parcel from the ARCO all the way up to where it turns to a dirt road and then cuts behind the housing tract as it's identified on the trails map. This is kind of a loose ends item so that we can address those as we find them.
It's an important connection.
Yes, it is. Irrigation upgrades, again, we run into some kind of unique things every year, booster pumps, valves that are big ticket items, those sort of things. They would be placed here or come from here. Security enhancements, we know we will run into more needs at the AMR Park in the next year, and that also includes accessibility to the site. You'll recall from Newport, as kids park and try to go into the skate park, they typically don't really care about what landscaping is between them and the sidewalk, and they walk right on over it. And so we'd be able to use some of these funds to modify those planter areas or to include additional security lighting or to provide a loudspeaker, which I know is on Joe's wish list, so he can talk to them from the comfort of his, his home. Get off the plants. Maintenance, storage improvements, $5,000 set aside to purchase and install permanent shelving in our existing storage areas for the guys. And then historical monuments on CS 027. You'll see the full complement here of $40,000. Now that includes $20,000 from city coffers and then $20,000 from Historical Association via a grant from County Supervisor Ashley's office. The current year's 6 monuments that this commission had already approved it's in the works. There is a concern that we won't be able to pull that trigger until the new fiscal year starts. So the full $40,000 is being reflected here. We're very close, but we will be returning to commission next fiscal for the remaining 6 to also complement what's already being worked on. Senior center improvements. Here, this is actually 2 projects in one. There are some needs to realign walls within the senior center and maximize space, as well as do some hardwiring of computer connections and other infrastructure within the building. In addition to that, though, there is a $21,000 component that is from CDBG, so funded by CDBG, for the replacement of the main HVAC unit on the facility. We believe it's on its last legs. It hasn't gone out yet, but it's getting close. And I'm sure Mark can speak to that. It's old. It's the original. We replaced 2 of them last year, you may remember, and those are running strong and saving us a lot of money. This one unit, though, is a big one, and it's sucking a lot of money. So let's see. Utility corridor trail, nothing has changed there. We anticipate about a $5 million investment if we do go down that road, which is not currently funded. Central Park art kiosks, these are the mobile kiosks for the art pavilion at Central Park once it's built. The ground is already broken over there. Developer is, I believe, just about done with grading. They're just getting some major change to the plans completed and getting their Mylars in which they'll start construction actual sticks very, very soon. And so our hope is that they complete this by the springtime and we can do a music and arts festival there and then use these dollars to outfit the site with some of these art pavilions.
Do we have any anticipated time when some designs and stuff will be brought to us, or?
Well, the conceptual design was already brought to the commission. The actual working drawings don't typically come to commission for you, but I can certainly bring back something for you guys to say, oh yeah, I remember what that was, and
Be nice to look at.
sure. I did mention parkland acquisition, so I'll skip down to permanent park restrooms. Similar to what was mentioned for Rancho Ramona Park, this particular project, CS032, would address the other parks that don't have them. AMR, a small restroom over near the skate park, so the kids can conveniently use that instead of the bushes. Lazy Creek Park, that does not currently have an exterior restroom. It does have one in the building, but of course that's closed when the center is closed. And then also Lowell Marsh Park, that doesn't have one currently. The only other park that does not have one, which we have not planned yet, is Nova Park. And so we're proposing phasing the restrooms with $150,000 for the upcoming fiscal year and then $100,000 in the following year. The park surveillance systems, we do have a proposal in hand for $117,000 to provide all of the camera infrastructure needed at the remaining areas at the AMR Sports Park, the Community Services Headquarters, the Lazy Creek Park, and I believe E.L. Peterson Park. And so that would be our target for next year, to have those 4 parks outfitted with cameras and then obviously hooked up to the server and viewable via the internet, obviously secured. Tree inventory and mapping. This actually came up as the recommendation of our superintendent, Joe Solano. We've been finding in the current year, as we go out and we started doing really some of the deferred maintenance on our right-of-way trees, park trees, and trail trees, that we don't know what we have. We don't know how many we have. We don't know how old they are. We don't know what condition they're in. We stumble upon them. So this item would actually allow us to go out and GIS map every single tree that we have, log it into a database, and then be able to more efficiently identify what maintenance plan we need to do every year, every 2 years, every 5 years, whatever it may be. Again, most cities do this regularly. This is part of their maintenance plan. CS035 is similar, except it is specifically for trails. And what staff is recommending is that we hire a consultant to come in and walk every trail, geocode them with GIS mapping, and then for those sections and segments that we don't currently have connectivity, they would do an analysis and derive an estimated cost to make the connection and let us know any details that we may run into. For example, are we in private property? Do we need an easement? Are there utilities in the way? That sort of things. This would create a full package for us to follow, using the master plan's park trails map as the starting point.
Does it go into the guy's garage?
And does it go in the guy's garage? Yes. And so I want to underscore on those 2 projects, the mapping component is really important. Certainly we can use it for planning. It's a good planning tool. However, we can also double that for public use, meaning we wouldn't necessarily say, hey, public, you can piggyback onto our system and see everything we see. No, but we can package all of our trails through GIS so that if you're at home and you want to take a walk and you don't know how far it's going to be, you can map it out. You'll have all the trails in place. You can see everything everywhere it goes. And then we would tie that into one of the projects we're currently working on with the grant from Valley Health Systems to provide like a passport for residents to be able to kind of, well, I guess in the end, maybe compete with each other if they really wanted to for number of steps or distance, things like that. I equate this one to something that my son does at school, at the 100-Mile Club, which is fairly popular in many school districts. Throughout the year, on every Friday, they're out there on their school track walking or running miles, and then at the end of every quarter and every year, they get awards for how far they've gone. So very similar, but this is sort of an interactive tool to get residents involved. Lyle Marsh Park improvements. There've been some discussion here about Lyle Marsh having enhancements because, as you know, it is just an open field area with 2 picnic shelters. No restroom on site right now. It is adjacent to Chester Morrison Elementary, and the idea with this project is to incorporate a universal playground, similar to what you have all talked about, what exists in Temecula and also in the city of Riverside. And this would address one of the items that was identified in the Parks Master Plan for accessibility. This would also incorporate a small parking lot next to that playground and sort of in between the 2 existing shelters, and it may be even a joint use agreement or development agreement with the school district to expand the parking lot they have, as I know it gets very crowded there. The next one is the Bradley Basin Park. It is not funded, but its anticipated improvement of that site would be about $2.5 million. About 2 months ago, city staff met with county flood control staff to talk to them about the basin, as it's been brought up with this commission. It's even been brought up, I believe, at the council level as well. That hole in the ground is a county flood basin. And believe it or not, we stumbled across some plans in our office from the county where they did do some preliminary design work to turn that into a public park. It is viable. There's obviously some changes since the original 1998 plans, but if the city did want to pursue that project, there's some mitigation we have to do in the bottom of it. Not impossible. There are other cities that have similar facilities that County Flood has provided easements to those agencies to develop. They are open to it. They like the idea. In their minds, the more people with eyes on their facilities, the less likelihood that they'll be vandalized and they'll stay in good repair.
I think that's a wonderful idea. It goes back to the presentation from Mr. Brewer, where the original plan for Salt Creek Trail was to have these interspersed parks county through the entire county.
Mm-hmm.
None of it's ever happened, and if we can be the first, that'd be great.
Yeah. The last one on here is actually already somewhat approved. This was a grant from Valley Health Systems for the Living Healthy program. This is just itemizing it in our CIP for the inclusion of fitness stations and a DG trail at Lazy Creek Park, which are obviously capital items, so it is on the list. Staff is working on that now, and we'll likely finish that up at the beginning of next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. I have a question on number 33. You did not mention Nova Park as having surveillance, but we're talking about putting in a restroom, we're talking about putting in a shelter. How much more would it cost to put in a surveillance camera so the folks who live around the park feel like it's not going to become a hangout?
Yeah, the challenge with the Nova Park site is its distance away from everything else. The way that the wireless point-to-point or wireless Wi-Fi system works is you have to have line of sight. And in order for that to occur, you can't have tree obstructions or hill or mountain obstructions. Nova Park is the one that's out there, and there's plenty of obstructions. And so in order for us to do surveillance out there, we'd have to set up a dedicated internet service provider connection there until a transmitter could be placed on the other side of this hill that's just behind us to connect. And so there's a lot of little pieces that,
Logistics.
yeah, that would cost additional money.
Okay, because right now it's basically an empty lot with grass on it.
Grass and a
I can
playground.
imagine you put in the other things, it'll become an attraction to people, and then the folks who live around there are probably going to say, hey, what's going on in front of my house?
Sure.
So I just wanted to mention that.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll keep that on the back burner.
The only other project that is not on here, mostly because we are waiting to hear back from the sponsor, I'll call it the sponsor, is the improvements to E.L. Peterson Dog Park. We are working with Paradise Chevrolet, who is very interested in a long-term agreement with the city to underwrite some of the improvements in the neighborhood at about $150,000. Once we get closer to final conceptual, I can bring it back and then amend the CIP at that point once we know more firm numbers.
And what does Paradise get out of this, besides a write-off?
Their name,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll put a
They're-
plaque there?
The owner's wife is a huge dog lover, believe it or not.
Okay,
Yeah.
like that.
And so the recommendation tonight is really for the commission to make a recommendation to city council to accept and approve the fiscal year 16-17 park CIP, and then recommend additional appropriations from various funds to enable expenditures toward those improvements in the total amount of $1.5 million for fiscal year 16-17.
Very good. And that will require a vote, and therefore I'd like to ask if we could have a motion on that.
I will move.
And do we have a second?
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, I'd like to take a vote, please.
Commissioner Holcomb,
Yes.
Commissioner Croy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gidroy,
Yes.
Commissioner Rosen.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's move on then to item number 9, Community Services Director comments, 9.1.
Before we do that, just a comment. Considering last night's budget, asking them for 10 cents should be interesting, much less 1.7 million.
The funds for your capital improvement project program don't come from general fund. They come from development impact fees
They're
primarily.
Moving them around, moving funds around to keep things going. So,
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I know that the development impact fees are collected from developers and are intended for the sole use of new and enhanced, new or enhanced facilities.
I'm 100% behind you. I'm just suggesting, don't be surprised if somebody starts laughing.
Okay.
We hope.
We hope not. And item 9.1, please.
So there are not very many changes.
Get any.
Oh, you mean something on paper?
We didn't, or did we?
I think they're looking for their PowerPoint paper.
Last item in packet.
So 9.1, Parks in Progress update. As you can see, there's not been many changes with the exception of the item you reviewed tonight, which is number 17 on the list, Underwood Community by CV Communities. Again, you just reviewed the minor change. Planning Commission will be doing the same thing, which is for a 9.17 acre park. Again, that number may change depending on the usability of the dedicated space once we get a little closer. That's the only change that's really occurred.
Okay, item 9.2 then. Recreation Division report. Jason?
Good evening once again, Commissioners. Happy to give the report this evening on the May happenings in the Recreation Division. We had a very busy month of May, and I know we saw a lot of you guys out there at some of our events. So just to start off with that, recap of our special events, we had a very successful first annual Senior Health, Wellness, and Fitness Fair on Monday, May 23rd at the Case Necero Senior Center. Excuse me. We conducted surveys. We handed out tickets so that we felt comfortable in saying that we had 400 people at this event. We had over 48 vendors. So it was a really a great success for the first event that we've done. Comments have been nothing but overwhelmingly appreciative of the event. The biggest question has been, when's the next one? So we're confident we'll be doing another one in the next fiscal year, and hopefully expanding some of the screenings that were available. We had screenings going on, live presentations, like I said, 48 booths. There was a free lunch provided by Evans Brown Mortuaries, so thank you to them again. And just a really great response from the vendors. They really enjoyed themselves. There's a lot of giveaways. Everybody walked out with something, a lot of positive partners. The Senior Advisory Committee chairperson, Gloria Sanchez, was a key player, along with several other partners in the event. So very successful event there. And then, of course, this past Monday was our Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony. I know several of you were at that event, and just a great chance for people to go and talk about what really the sacrifice of our veterans means to this community. Our staff did a great job of putting together some new interesting features, one of which was a chalkboard wall where folks could come up and write, because of your sacrifice, I am able to. And it was really nice to see some of the kids and writing their feedback and what it means to them that veterans have given the ultimate sacrifice. We had a flyover once again, and it was a really cool flyover. It was the Missing Man Formation, which I didn't know they were going to do, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then we had a bagpiper that played Amazing Grace, while we had Councilmember August and several of our Cub Scout partners laying a wreath on the Veterans Memorial itself to signify the sacrifice. Great speaker, Gerald Thacker from our Menifee VFW Post 1956 was there as well. So once again, just a great event. We had about 150 people, we estimate there, some booths there as well. So just another great opportunity for the community to recognize the service of our veterans, which holds so close to our heart. Getting into some of the drop-in recreation type programs at the Senior Center, numbers continue to grow there. Our lunch program is actually getting so popular that the biggest complaint we get from our senior citizens is that we need a second feeding time. So staff is working with FSA to see if that's something that we can accommodate. May not be too likely, but it's something that we're exploring to see how we can expand that service, because there's a lot of people that are not able to go or don't know about it, so we want to make sure we have that option on the table in the future. Computer classes continue to be extremely popular there as well, and Aisha is also working for future excursions. And then another exciting note we'll talk about in the special events a little bit more, but we have a first annual senior prom that we're going to be doing there on Friday, June 17th. So if you guys would like to go to serve as paparazzi, it's a Hollywood-themed affair, so we're going to have red carpet, and we want to have people on the sides kind of taking pictures and really making the seniors feel very special on that evening. So that's going to be a fun time. Over at Lazy Creek, our after-school program continues to be very popular. We're gearing up for the last week here before kids get out of school and then start up summer camp. So we have about 29, 30 kids showing up daily for after-school program. Our preschool program is averaging about 77 participants monthly. Once again, they're getting ready for their summer camp as well. So Lazy Creek Summer Camp starts on Monday, June 13th, so it's the week after kids go to school, and it goes all the way through the week before they get back. So we give kids an opportunity to do something fun, enriching. We mix in some disguised learning, so they're still keeping their minds fresh throughout the summer, a lot of sports activities, and then really good partnership with Commissioner Zimmerman isn't here, but the Arts Council is going to be providing arts classes every Monday of camp for about an hour and a half in the morning to get the kids going, and some new expressive arts, some visual arts, things like that. So we're excited about that collaboration as well. And then I mentioned the pitch, hit, and run competition. I can't say enough about that. It's just really amazing. I've been in 3 other agencies that have done pitch, hit, and run competitions. I've never had anybody eligible to go to the Petco All-Star game. So this is a huge honor for this community, and I really hope that on June 25th we hear their names called on national TV. I'm gonna try to stream it live somewhere so everybody can see it. So really a great accomplishment. I can't underscore that enough.
Tape it.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely get the word out. Contract classes continue to go up. We have 81 registered now in our different contract classes. And then our rentals, this weekend, actually I know it's in June, but our facility rentals are going up. Our shelters this weekend, we have 11 shelter rentals, so it's going to be real busy out there for our weekend staff. And then our weekend staff person, we don't give him, he was out here, he got Employee of the Month a couple months ago, but he just does a great job really connecting with the community. That's a really great service that we're able to continue to offer, where he actually goes and makes contact with each renter out in the field each weekend, making sure their needs are met. He has a standby cell phone that he has, so if anything comes up during the rental, they're able to call him, and he's able to go and try to put out the fire, for lack of a better term, as much as he possibly can. So great service we're able to offer. We want to continue to do that as well. Can I do my special events update now to you? I'll step into that. Okay, so special events, we have a few down and a couple more coming up. So this next Saturday, June 11th through June 12th, formerly known as the Father's Day Campout, we've changed the name to Family Campout to ensure that all family members are welcome. That's on June 11th. It's actually an overnight experience, so folks show up at 3. We have tons of games and activities and picnic-style activities planned. We have s'mores, so that's the highlight for me. We have a movie in the park that we're going to be showing. It's called Open Season. We're going to have storytelling, and then a new feature we're adding this year is a camp decorating contest. So we've had some prizes donated. So those that decorate their tent the best will receive a prize. So that's the new one we're doing. And then we're going to do a nighttime scavenger hunt. So folks are encouraged to bring their flashlights so they can participate in that. Dinner will be provided, and then an early morning breakfast along with an early morning stretch to get people up and ready for the next morning. Senior prom, as I mentioned, Friday, June 17th. We already have 26 seniors registered, so we continue to get a lot of calls about that. And the great thing is that it's not just seniors that go to the center every day. We're getting a lot of seniors that maybe attend Sun City Civic Association or some of the other HOAs for seniors. So it's really encouraging to see that the message is getting out there that other seniors are participating. So really encouraged on that. Our Movies in the Park series starts June 18th, and it goes all the way through July 30th. The only weekend we're taking off is July 2nd, which is for our Independence celebration. Great slew of movies this weekend, this year, everything from Star Wars to The Good Dinosaur. It's not your typical, go to the Dollar Theater, pay this. We have really experiences going on, so costume contests, picture opportunities. So really encourage everybody to go out for those and get there a little bit early before the movie actually starts. And then finally the big one, Saturday, July 2nd, the Independence celebration. That is going to be at Wheatfield Park, of course. New start time this year. We want to really make sure for you guys to spread that to your constituents. Start time for the event itself is 4 p.m. So what that means is that at 4 p.m., all of the bouncers, booths, games, booths, everything is going to be open at 4. The parade will still take place at 5. That's sponsored by the Lake Menifee Women's Club. But the event itself will start at 4, and then we have live entertainment starting at 6. So we have 2 bands that will be playing, Nitro Express and Midnight Ride. They'll be performing at 6 after folks participate in the parade. And then, of course, the main event is the fireworks show starting right at 9 p.m. Thanks to Menifee Union School District, we're able to use Bell Mountain this year, so we'll be having a bigger, better, and longer show. So really going to be an amazing event. We are trying to continue to motivate the teen crowd to come out to our event. So one of the things we're looking into to enhance the event is to possibly have a video game truck out there. So that's something that's in the works. We have some calls out, and that's something we hope we can come through with. But also the Kids Zone is going to have a 125-foot-long obstacle course and then Zorb racing. So we want to make sure that everybody gets out there to try that, especially you commissioners. So hope to see everybody out at all these. It's going to be a great summer for us. Great things lined up. So hope to see you at all these events. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
A reminder, too, on the Independence celebration, there's a significant sponsorship, title sponsorship this year that allowed us to do a lot of these enhanced things from Paradise Chevrolet. So we're happy to have that.
That's right. And actually, thanks for mentioning that, Robert. We were just able to recognize that the owner of Paradise Chevrolet that made a lot of this happen, Terry Gilmore, is actually going to be the Grand Marshal of the parade. So they'll have a significant presence at the event, including some cars out in the park in the park itself to display and let people know all the great things that they're helping us bring to this event.
Excellent. Yeah, we appreciate their contribution.
Absolutely.
Item 9.4, Capital Improvement Program Update. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, no, ma'am?
Ma'am, it's not
We're
open.
not in a position to have public comment now. That's over with. Sorry about that.
With regard to the senior prom, can non-seniors attend?
Non-seniors can attend. It's definitely geared more for seniors, but yeah, it's open to the public.
Okay.
And if non-seniors are interested in participating in any way, though, the best way might be to be one of our paparazzi that we're trying to get volunteers for, maybe to help with the DJ booth or the photo booth. But yes, if non-seniors are interested, they can definitely give us a call and we can talk about opportunities for them.
Or non-seniors can chaperone, too.
That's
I just don't want to crash anybody's party.
No, please crash away. We want to welcome everybody to at least come and check it out because I mean we're going to have a live DJ, food, dessert spread. It's going to be a really nice night, so we're excited about
Who do we contact for participation?
You can call the Case Sinacero Senior Center or our office 951-723-3880, and we'll be happy to give you the information, get you a ticket, and let you know how you can get involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 9.4, Capital Improvement Program Update.
I'm sitting in for Joe tonight.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Are you going to put some pics up for me, Robert, please? There we go. Right on your screen here, I was just out today, and they actually have the irrigation in there. I just did an inspection on their grading out there. So all the rocks are in place. By Monday, I'm going to go out and do a final irrigation check. All the boxes, all the clocks. Well, there's only one clock, I'm sorry, solar clock. So they can put the final mulch in. So they're looking at filing, being finished with that by Wednesday. So that's a tentative time that we've gotten on that one. Plum Valley Wash Trail is complete, as you can see. One of them's gone. I did have a picture of somebody the second day, right after it was done, dumped some trash on the trail. And it just irritated me. I had to take a picture of it, but it's not in there. Sorry. It just really bothered me that somebody would do that right after they had just done it. So, no, I do not. No.
In order for the city to issue a citation, they'd have to first witness it, and then code enforcement would be the one to issue the ticket.
Yeah. No, it was
No.
already there.
Found the
So
trash.
I'm just saying it bothered me, and being a resident
It
for so many
bothers all
years,
of us,
that
yeah.
after all that money was spent to fix it, and then somebody dumped trash on it. I was
Was
just,
it like near a point where somebody could have put it in the can, or?
yeah, no, this was like a bag, somebody had dumped a bag of trash, and it just, I was walking it to inspect it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So,
Our assumption is likely one of the transients that frequent the plum wash.
yeah. So, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to put that on. I just wanted everybody to see it, because it happened, so.
It looks great.
Wonderful picture, Mark.
So additional work on this project is going to include before the end of this month, striping of the trail itself, directional arrows in both ways, with the bicycle and walker stenciling, as well as signage that has quarter-mile marking throughout.
Let's see, next, picnic shelter. We did a one-day, I'll show you on this other one, but you can see right here where they're pouring everything. So right now, they're set to be finished with the 2 gazebos over at E.L. Peterson Park by Friday. Both, the skins are on both of the buildings right now. They'll be putting the trim on it tomorrow. So their job will be complete. We have some final stuff to do. Hopefully in the next week, we're going to do it in-house, where we'll pour the approaches up to them, save a little bit of money on that. And then moving on to that, the park furnishings. We actually, on the park furnishings, I just got an email today. I postponed it until Monday, but they're going to be delivering all the trash receptacles and the benches and that type of thing. So we'll be getting back into that on Monday. So let's see. Staff, he already spoke about Rancho Ramona Park. It's still pretty much unchanged. Playground equipment upgrades at Lazy Creek is complete. AMR skate park fencing modifications are complete. Let's see here. I think that concludes our capital improvements. Moving on to the maintenance division report. So we have one more month before our fiscal year ends this month. So this kind of gives you an idea of it's 9.5. We're sitting at 99% this last month. We've gotten everything really up. Year to date, 99%. So, I mean, I told the guys this morning when they came in, I showed it to them, passed it out to them, and I was like, look at this. And they're just like, wow. So it's a big deal. They really push forward every day they come to work. So if you see them out there, just tell them they're doing a good job, because they like hearing it, just here and there. So.
Tell them for us.
Yeah, I just want to add real quick about EMWD, the drought. Are we in a drought or not? EMWD did lift the 4C, so it's no longer 70% reduction. It's a 30% reduction on water now. So it's at least freeing us up where we can do some, like J-Bar Ranch over there, some strips where grass is, we can water it again. So it wasn't even allowed before. So. And we did have a break-in a couple of weeks ago where I was called as soon as I got home. They actually caught 3 individuals breaking into Lazy Creek Rec Center. And when I got there, they were patting them down. So they did arrest one kid, and I just got a call this morning from the DA. He didn't show up at his preliminary hearing, And so now it's what was it, felony arrest thing now. So anyway, it was good to catch one, you know. It doesn't happen very often, so.
So in a situation like that, the benefit of having cameras on site is that they become evidence, so that it's not just the fact that he was caught on site, but they can also see everything he did while he was there.
Good point.
9.5 on the pictures next, please. All right. So I know some of this is ditto, but you can see the old gazebo structure up on top here. Here's my guys with the hard hats on. So basically we came in and ripped the cement out, the tables, the old gazebo, and basically you can see the footings in the low bed waste management here. These things were this tall, and they were about this big around. That was the footings for this old gazebo. The guys worked really hard. We did this in one day. The company wanted $20,000 to demo that. So we had a backhoe and waste management, so we did it for a very small amount. So a lot of times in-house really does pay. So just to let you know on that. And then just a little bit down here where the guys had repainted the track for the kids at Lazy Creek, and a lot of in-house stuff that those guys kind of get in there and then they get left, you know, they don't get known. But once again, they're doing a great job. So the next one is going to be showing, we're just about done with the AMR soccer field renovation. On the left, you'll see when it started, when we started about a month and a half ago, and then a little bit in between, and then this was just taken about a week ago. It just got mowed for the first time 2 days ago, I believe it was. And so we're going to fertilize it for a second time tomorrow, in fact. So hopefully we'll have it back up and running within 2 weeks, I'm looking at. The weather didn't help us much, so kind of held us back. And we're just starting this one. The guys have really been working hard on this J-Bar Ranch, getting all the irrigation up. It's right off of Scott Road. So we have a plant count in place, and we'll be remulching all of that to beautify that area. Some of the areas have been let go over the years. So I think that's it.
All right, thank you very much. Item 9.6, Playful City USA 2016.
Pass this one over to Bruni.
Well, Commissioners, we are happy to announce that for 2016, the city of Menifee has been designated as a Playful City USA. And the Playful City USA is a national recognition program that creatively provides play opportunities for children. This year, there were a total of 257 cities recognized. 31 cities were recognized, and we were one of those 31. The programs that we were recognized for were the Living Healthy Building Community program, which is what Robert mentioned during the CIP update. It's going to happen at our case, Ceniceros and Lazy Creek with the workstations. And then, of course, our Parks, Trails, Open Space and Recreation Master Plan and our Parks CIP. I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure you've heard of Playful City USA, but some of the benefits of the program include we will be receiving 2 freeway signs, hopefully soon. We will also have grant opportunities. I think that's the biggest benefit. And we will receive a lot of information and, like it says, webinars and networking events for city leaders to share and learn more innovative solutions for play. So we're very happy.
That's your report.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And that moves us on to item 10, Commissioner reports on committee activities. And do we have any reports tonight?
I have one. I was invited to the district-wide. Mary and Ashley put on a very nice event organized by Mr. Rosen and a few other people. The volunteers, the first annual Volunteers Appreciation Award Ceremony over at Casino Morongo. It was a very, very nice event, and fortunately, the person that was chosen as Volunteer of the Year among, I think, with 11 people was our own Mrs. Anderson from Quail Valley. And it was very inspiring to know that there's so many people in our community that, in other communities that really get things done. Some of them where they can some of these people are not in good health, yet they persevere and continue to impress with their energy level. So I just wanted to thank the county for that. I was wearing my county shirt that day, but it was a good thing, and maybe something we can mirror at some point in the future in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to mention that I was at the Tot Lot unveiling at Lazy Creek on the 19th of May. It was a great event, beautiful facility, lots of kids, everybody's having a great time, and I can see where things are just going to keep moving forward and moving up. Good job on everybody's part, terrific. I was also at the Memorial Day ceremony, and Bruni, as always, you sang beautifully.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that, congratulations on that.
you.
And that's all I wanted to add. So if I may, let's move on to number 11, future agenda requests from commissioners. I know Commissioner Rosen had something he wanted to put on there.
Yes, I'd like to look into the possibility of doing plantings in our parks that would induce birds and butterflies. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'd like to look into the possibility of doing plantings in our parks to induce birds and butterflies to want to come and live there. We can easily find out what kinds of plants would induce that. Yeah, and we could get a few of those relatively cheaply, put in a few, see what happens, increase it.
Very good.
Anything else?
Sorry, go ahead. After you, sir.
Yes, I would like to see if we can explore the possibility of inviting the Youth Advisory Council committee to come and get some ideas from them on the types of recreation that they may want to see in the city. If it hasn't been done already, I don't know the history of it, but if it hasn't been done, I'd like to extend a formal invitation to them.
It's a good idea. The Youth Advisory Committee, like this commission and the Senior Advisory Committee, were part of the master planning process that we went through last year. But it could be beneficial to have them come back and sort of meet and greet the commission and reintroduce themselves. I would recommend that occur probably after the first meeting of the next, I'll call it class. They are dark in the summer, and a new class comes in September. So if we can agendize that for September or October, that would be.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I would like to get on the agenda at some future discussion. The need, and I keep hearing this over and over again, is the need for a special needs facility, some special equipment for a playground. I know we've got a lot going on. If we could maybe give some consideration to making some improvements, maybe identifying a few maybe existing parks where we could incorporate some of those, some of that equipment. I know it's expensive, but I do also know that there is a need for it, and there's a lot of people in the development community that I think would be happy to help out with that.
That brings me back to, we were going to tour a facility in Temecula, which is set up that way. So we need to put that on our agenda to have that visit.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we were planning to do that once we got past our busy event season,
Yeah.
and we're almost there.
Yeah.
But also the universal playground idea would be something, special needs park, something we incorporate into that Lyle Marsh renovation project. That's what we would hope to do, because there's a lot of funding opportunities out there to do that sort of thing. So we can place it here, but I also want to make it something we can bring back when you review conceptual designs for the renovation of Lyle Marsh.
I think it's a good opportunity too. As Mr. Gilmore from Paradise, it's something that we could, maybe market to a business and put their name on it, and you accomplish a lot with doing that. Thank you.
Very good. Any other, yes, Mike?
Yeah, I was under the impression that that should have been already on the agenda, future agenda request, but it isn't. And another thing that should be there, and I would like to bring it forward, is the staging areas. We need to look at the possibility of where in the city to put maybe a half a dozen staging areas. Where we could lose some of them if we don't start requesting it. I know that one that we were thinking of, and I've spoken to Ron Sullivan from EMWD, and it's easy with them. I mean, they won't allow anything to be constructed on their property, and parking a truck means nothing to them, as long as you get it off the same day, which of course people would. And he even indicated that, quote, putting water somewhere really isn't a problem for EMWD, unquote. So we could even get the water there for it.
So maybe,
We should put it,
future discussion.
yeah, we need to put it on the agenda. Well,
So
we
we
need
don't
to
lose
put it on
sight
the
of it.
future agenda, but then get it on an agenda item.
We'll list it as a equestrian staging areas for future agenda item.
You like-
Okay, then. Anyone else? Hearing nothing further on it, I would say our meeting is over and we are adjourned at 7:57 PM.